Very good evening to all of you. Thanks for joining us here on the Urban Debate. I am Afrida Rahman Ali. Our top focus at this hour is to look at the recent announcements that the centre has made with regards to the cut on the excise duty. Remember, the centre has reduced the excise duty on petrol by 5 rupees and on diesel by 10 rupees to be effective from Thursday. Now, after the centre reduced the excise duty on fuel, several BJP ruled states and NDA ruled states have announced a further reduction on the value-added tax on both petrol and diesel. But in real terms, what does it mean? Let's take a quick example of Delhi. Petrol prices had gone up by 26 rupees just this year, and they have been brought down only by 5 rupees. So an increase of 31% and reduction of a mere 4%. That's the example I wanted to bring out here. Diesel prices similarly gone up 24.5 rupees this year, brought down by 10 rupees. An increase of 32%, a reduction of 10%. So in exact figures, if I have to put it, price of petrol in the national capital was 110 rupees per litre on Wednesday, while the price of diesel stood at 98.4 rupees per litre. With the cut in excise duty, petrol will now cost 105 per litre, while diesel will cost 88.4 rupees per litre. Now, is that a substantive decrease or is it tokenism? That is what the war of words is between the opposition and the centre. It must be understood here very clearly that VAT is actually a percentage of the total cost. VAT is decided by the state government, but then the VAT is a percentage which is actually dependent on the total price of the fuel. So any reduction in excise duty will automatically lead to a cut in VAT. So somewhere there is a misunderstanding that VAT is totally under the state prerogative. It is not. Even VAT is actually centre's prerogative because VAT is dependent in terms of what the overall price is. A percentage of that the state decides, which is why the non-NDA states are arguing today that the onus is after all on the centre. The states have very little elbow room in this. Well, that's what I have understood, but we'll get expert opinion on this from our panelists joining us this evening. Let me introduce our guest this evening joining us here on the Urban Debate. Charu Pragya, spokesperson of the BJP. I have Gurdeep Singh Sapal, national spokesperson of the Congress. Professor Dinesh Vashni, leader of CPI. Jagdish Shettigar, economist from BIMTech. And Amirullah Khan, economist, also joining us for the first time on Urban Debate. T.S. Ramakrishnan, public policy expert. So what I'm going to do is, first, let's get the perspectives correct, because this is a sensitive issue, an important issue, very significant one that affects all of us. We're talking about fuel prices here, but there are certain dynamics involved, and which is why we have a panel of experts along with the representatives from political parties. And I want to first get the perspectives right on this so that we don't go off track in understanding how fuel prices work. And for that effect, in fact, I'm going to go first to the public policy expert on the panel today, T.S. Ramakrishnan. If I can come to you first, let's understand what has prompted this move. Is it all political, or is there an economic reason why the excise duty had to be cut at this stage?
Yeah, it is for the individuals to decide whether it is a political decision or economic decision. But as an expert, I would always say that it is essentially an economic decision and topped up with some political considerations, because there is nothing like pure economic decisions. All decisions are political. Economic decisions are political. Let me tell you why it is so. Because the inflation for the last 4 months has been reaching almost close to 6%. Not reaching the 6%, it's almost 5 to 6%. And already the Prime Minister about a month back requested Nirmala Sitharaman, the Finance Minister, to consider reduction of tax on these fuels. And in addition to that, RBI Governor Mr. Saktikanta Das also has echoed, has indicated to the government that if you don't cut the fuel taxes and if you don't reduce the fuel prices, the inflation when I say inflation, I'm referring to consumer price index may
Okay.
exceed 6%.
Mm-hmm.
And in that case, what will happen is because there is a mandate, there is a memorandum of understanding between RBI and the state, not the central government, that the inflation, consumer price index has to be anywhere between 2% and 6%. And
Okay.
if it exceeds, then RBI will resort to the monetary policy tool of increasing the repo rate and then increasing the interest rate for loan also. So that will have a very negative impact on the growth that we are aiming at. We are aiming almost 9 to 10% growth this year. So if at all the loan, the rate, the interest rate for loan increases substantially, even by 1%, then it will be impact. It will have an impact. So, and moreover, inflation beyond 5 to 6% is very burdensome for the people. It's not
Okay,
about.
so basically what you're saying, Mr. Ramakrishnan, is that this is inflation management. And this government cannot afford to breach, if I understood you correctly, the 6% CPI, the Consumer Price Index. And, it is important for this government to maintain that goodwill and not allow inflation to go up beyond a point. I want a quick response to that, from Amirullah Khan. Go ahead, Mr. Khan. What do you have to say on this? What has prompted this government? Are there political compulsions or there are certain economic reasons, like you just heard Mr. Ramakrishnan point out?
Thanks. In this case, I can't think of a simple economic reason for bringing in this reduction at this point in time. You see, what is clearly established is that the demand for fuel is pretty high. It is, in some sense, the demand is going to stay stable despite high prices, and therefore the government was continuously increasing prices, and the tax mobilization was pretty impressive. Now, the reason that this kind of move is assumed significance is because while we have had the government saying that petrol prices are market driven, they are not decided by the government. Suddenly comes a move where the government says that, okay, we are going to reduce prices. So the kind of signal it sends is a very mixed signal, and it shows a great deal of uncertainty in the future. Next time fuel prices rise, you cannot make that same excuse again.
Yes.
So therefore, what has happened is that we are now left in this situation, in this confused situation, where we don't know whether fuel prices are market determined or not, or whether it is the government that is going to fix prices. So therefore, like in the exchange rate, what we said was that these will be market determined and we don't interfere in exchange rates. Similarly, we ought not to be interfering in fuel prices if we want to show a consistent policy line. By interfering now, immediately after elections where the results have not been as spectacular as one expected, the signal that is being sent out is that there is a play that the government has, and therefore it can reduce taxes when it wants to. It also flies against the whole argument that we need money, we need to mobilize money for vaccinations, we need to mobilize money for healthcare. If that was indeed true, then there was no question of reducing prices.
This is a very important point, and part of it is also, of course, being raised by the opposition parties, that how did you do it now? When all this while the centre was arguing it is not in our hands, these are market-driven dynamics determined by international crude oil prices. How did you manage to now reduce it immediately after the by-poll results and ahead of other state elections next year? Quick response, Mr. Jagdish Shettikar, do you agree that the government in a way is also caught in the wrong foot for what it used to say earlier about not having any control over fuel prices? Sure enough, it does. Sure enough, it has managed to reduce excise cut, and this is what was being asked for all this while.
Yeah, certainly it is in the hands of the government. But when I say that the government can affect the changes in the prices by changing the tax rates, this is not a scientific method of giving the relief. Though it is a substantial relief, that is both center and the states put together about 14 rupees. It is a substantial relief. But it is only the short-term relief, because tomorrow if the price in the international market goes up, as far as the VAT rates of the states are concerned, it will automatically go up because they collect the VAT on the basis of ad valorem basis. As far as the center is concerned, it is on the specific matter. Whatever the concessions they give, given the 5 rupees, that will remain. But what will happen tomorrow when the prices goes up? Because the tax reforms in the petroleum sector, which started during the previous NDA government, that is during Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government, completed during the UPA government, that is when Chidambaram was the finance minister. He linked it to what he called the international prices with the domestic prices, which was the right step. But because of that, though I welcome the reforms in the petroleum sector, automatically the price will go up in the domestic market whenever there is a rise in the international market. And besides that, another factor is the depreciation in the rupee will have a further impact on the prices. But the right step should have been bringing the petroleum product, which I have been arguing that it should be brought into the GST nut. Because if you add even the maximum GST rate of 28% on the basic price of around nearly 50 rupees per liter, including the distributor's commission, it should become maximum another 18 rupees, which means that in the today's price at the international market, the domestic price should be slightly below 68 rupees. So unless and until you bring a petroleum products within the GST net, I don't think that you will have a long-term relief as far as the
Okay, so you're saying that this is likely to continue, the price increase and then the minor decrease, a huge increase over a period of time and then a very small relief. That is what is happening, and you're saying that pattern is likely to continue unless we get fuel under GST. But from my understanding, sir, that's again unlikely to happen, isn't it? Because this is a very convenient revenue generation model for the government, for the center. And we have had leaders from the BJP say it in no uncertain terms, without mincing words, that they need the revenue to finance the welfare schemes. So, idhar se leke idhar dena hai kind of a situation.
I will come to that point.
Very quickly, sir. Yes.
Let me mention that during the last GST Council meeting that is held last month, the center, in fact, proposed to bring it to the GST net.
Yes.
But within the GST Council, the decision is taken on the consensus basis, not on the basis of the majority.
I understand. It is the state representatives have also not conceded. That is an argument made by the center, though we are not sure, about that's a separate topic. We'll deal with it another time and space. But right now, yes, I do get your point that the GST Council has to come to a consensus. That consensus building hasn't happened.
Point, there may be adverse effect immediately, both center as well as the states.
Yes.
But in the long run, because when the petroleum products prices goes down, obviously the profit margin of private sector will go up, which will result in the higher contribution in terms of the corporate tax. And as far as the PSUs is concerned, because of the fall in the cost of production, they will be in a position to contribute more dividends to the center from both the point of view of the dividend contribution and the corporate tax section. In the wider, if you look at from the wider prism, the center is likely to be not to lose any revenue. As far as the states is concerned, once it comes within the GST, obviously they will lose the VAT revenue. But under the GST, there is a provision that whatever the center collects, that has to be shared with the state government.
And that is not happening. That is yet another argument. The states are complaining that they are not getting their share of the GST collection. So that entire GST topic is again a huge one, which we will have to deal with. But right now, what I'm going to do is play out some of the responses that have come from the opposition states before I go across to the party spokesperson. Let's listen in to what Chhattisgarh Chief Minister and Congress's K.C. Venugopal has to say after the recent announcement on the excise cut.
यूपीए सरकार में जो टैक्स है वो 9 रुपये के आसपास था। आज जो टैक्स है वो 27 रुपये और 32 रुपये तक के बढ़ गया है। तो पहले तो उस स्तर में ले आए। हमने तो यदि रमन सिंह या भारतीय जनता पार्टी कहे तो जितना वो वेट उन्होंने तय किया था उससे 1 पैसा हम लोगों ने वृद्धि नहीं की 3 सालों में, वही के वही है। तो एनडीए गवर्नमेंट से हम ये कहते हैं कि जो यूपीए सरकार में जितना टैक्स था, एक्साइज ड्यूटी जिसमें लगती थी, उसी स्तर पे ले आए। पेट्रोल आपके 50 और 60 रुपए में मिलेंगे, तो पहले ले आए उसको।
Thanks to the by-election result and the agitation put forwarded by Congress party and other opposition party, anyway BJP they has come down little from their stubborn stand. Whenever we raised this issue in the parliament, they told no. And last week itself, you know that this Hardeep Puri told that this is for vaccine. Petrol, diesel duty has been hiked because of the vaccine.
चारू प्रज्ञा जी बताइए, आपने सुना what we just heard is that पहले तो इतना बढ़ा दे फिर थोड़ा सा कम कर दे and then you sort of project it as bringing some respite to people. That is, it's not lost on anybody that the decrease is very minor. This is not a major relief. The prices are still in most metros touching 100. So if you raise it to 115 and bring it down to 100, how does it bring any respite? That's question number one. Question number two, what you just heard, is this some sort of a immediate fallout of the bipoll results that you need to announce something in order to make sure, some sort of a damage control, so to speak? Charu Pragya.
Afrida, while you were playing out the reactions of the opposition, I'm disappointed you did not play out the reaction of Mr. Surjewala, who does not even know which category of taxation petrol and diesels fall into. So that's sad. Maybe you can play that during the course of the debate. We have a lot more time with this. But see, the fact of the matter is we can go round and round and discuss rates. The truth is people needed this relief. The truth is that even this reduction which the centre has given today goes a really long way in helping the general people in our country. Also, the truth is that the opposition-run states have not lifted a finger to support this move of the central government. I feel that you will all have a chance to criticize this or find reasons for it or whatever it is that you might want to do after you have done your bit. Why do you not want to contribute to helping common people lead slightly easier lives after the hard-hitting 1.5 year of COVID? If BJP-run states can give up a little bit of their revenue, why can Congress-run states not do that? Why can states like, say, TMC-run West Bengal or Kerala not do that? And these are the very same states, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, they argued heavily against petrol and diesel being included in GST some time back because they said their revenues are going to be very greatly hit. Today, they are talking about GST again. Today, they are talking about minor decrease. And I'm saying minor tongue-in-cheek because this is actually not a minor decrease. Also, India is moving towards becoming a welfare state. The world has had a tough time for COVID. The centre or the state governments for that matter have got very few avenues of revenue. Petrol and diesel remains one of them. So I think I'm going to accept all suggestions. I'm going to accept every single thing once all the opposition spokespersons tell me when their state is offering some
forget the
kind
opposition spokesperson, though I will allow them to speak. But the reason I had the economists and the public policy experts speak first is to put things in perspective for you. And you heard it very clearly that these are policy matters, policy decisions taken by the centre. Let's not shirk off that responsibility, Charu Pragya. It is very much part of centre's prerogative to decide the excise duty. And let me give you Delhi's example. 50% of the petrol price in Delhi is made up of taxes. I'm sure you're aware of this. Excise is 27%. VAT is 23%, but VAT is again a percentage of the overall price. So let's not forget, if the higher the excise, the higher will be VAT automatically. So today when we say that the states are not reducing VAT, VAT has automatically got reduced, hasn't it, ma'am? So what exactly are you expecting the states to do? They have very limited scope and elbow room in this. Let me have the Congress spokesperson respond to you. Okay.
Did not let my
Very quickly, Charu, then I go to the other
So
spokespersons.
if
Yes, go ahead.
22 states can reduce it, I am very certain the remaining states also can reduce it. Now that is political posturing.
Okay. Gurdeep Singh Sapal, would you like to rebut or respond to that point that Charu Pragya is making, that why aren't the states doing their bit? Some states you have seen have already reduced by 7 rupees. In fact, 17 states have done so. What is stopping the others from following suit?
I will neither rebut nor respond, but I'll try to encourage Charu in taking certain more decisions. Charu, like in Madhya Pradesh, your government has reduced by 1 rupees 27 paisa on petrol. VAT has been reduced by 1 rupees 27 paisa. Neighboring state is Chhattisgarh. To match the rate in Chhattisgarh, will you please further reduce it by 15 rupees 11 paisa? Because that is still the difference between Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh. To match the Chhattisgarh price, you'll have to bring it down not by 1 rupees 27 paisa, but another 15 rupees. Or you may even match it with Jharkhand, where you can reduce it further by 19 rupees. Or maybe Punjab, where 16 rupees will be sufficient, because these are states ruled by Congress party, where the VAT is already so low that after these huge cuts in 17 states, you have not been able to match them. And you forget about these. I can tell you about Tamil Nadu, because you mentioned Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu reduced VAT in August from 34% to, I think, 17%, 15%. 34% to 15% on petrol, and it reduced on the VAT on diesel from 25% to 11%. So please, in Madhya Pradesh, you have reduced it by 1%. Will you match it in Tamil Nadu? Please, because all these states, I can talk of Rajasthan. Rajasthan cut VAT in February by 2%. I can also talk of non-Congress states like West Bengal. It cut VAT by 2% in February. So these are states not ruled by BJP, ruled by opposition parties, and BJP has to go a very long way to match the rates in this. I must tell you that before this cut happened, both at center and state, the petrol price in Jharkhand was 104 rupees per liter. And after this cut, today in Madhya Pradesh, it is 107 rupees. So you have not even matched the prices in Jharkhand or Chhattisgarh or Punjab even today after this massive cuts. So please, I would like to encourage you to talk to your party that please match the rates in Congress ruled states. These states are already
Right.
at rock
The
bottom.
point is, it's not about Congress, BJP. The fact of the matter is that it's the people who are suffering under these very high skyrocketing fuel prices, and the decrease from all the inputs that we have got from across centers is not being interpreted as a major relief. People are asking for more. That is the reality on ground which I am citing. Yes, I think...
It is about who's ruling with empathy and who's not ruling with empathy. How is it that all these states that I am counting, be it Tamil Nadu, be it Chhattisgarh, be it Punjab, be it Jharkhand, be it West Bengal, everybody took measures several months and several years before. And BJP waited for a defeat in by-elections to take this measure, which
okay,
is
that's
so
the point already made. Yes, Mr. Ramakrishnan wants to quickly come in. Yes, sir, please go ahead.
The data given by Congress spokesperson regarding Tamil Nadu, because I have been closely following Tamil Nadu. So DMK cut only 3 rupees each for petrol and diesel, not more than that. Okay, he is wrong actually. His information is wrong. I know that. No, I mean, I am from Tamil Nadu. Okay, so okay, fine. That's okay. Second thing is, I am not going to, enter into political debate.
Yes.
Second thing is, I beg to differ with Mr. Jagadish on
yes.
bringing it under GST. Because if you bring it under GST, as he has told it, the prices will come down to less than 60 rupees. But the problem is, India is on the path of e-vehicles. We have India has the highest oil vulnerability index. When I say oil vulnerability index, we are importing 80% of our oil, and we are still depending on that. We have to overcome that sooner than better. At least in the next 5 to 10 years, we overcome that. So if at all the prices are reduced substantially, the economy of using the electric vehicle will not be as much as the economy of using ICE vehicles, which is right now we are using. So we need to cut, we need to cut the central excise duty, VAT, and other things marginally, and so that the prices, basically it's about inflation.
Yes,
it's not about,
I got that point, sir. But what you're also saying right now is that we need to reduce our dependence on international crude. That is the main culprit when it comes to deciding the fuel prices in our country at the moment, since it's not under GST, and the centre keeps using that excuse of the international crude oil prices. Professor Dinesh Vashni, thank you so much for patiently waiting. Your views on this, because, you know, the other argument is that all this while you were clamoring for a reduction, now it has happened. Now why are we being so reluctant in giving credit where it's due? Okay, I think I'm not able to hear Professor Vashni. Oh, go ahead, Charu Pragya, your response to what you just heard from the other speakers of the other political parties.
Well, I was using my time to Google fuel rates today across the country, Afrida. But, you know, the fact of the matter is that whatever fancy terminology and whatever statistics the opposition spokesperson is throwing right now, I live in New Delhi. If I want petrol here in Delhi, it's going to cost me 104 rupees, 103.97 to be exact. But if I'm willing to drive to Noida, which is just 12 kilometers from here, I'm going to get it for 83 rupees. Now, that is what the common people of India are looking out for, not the fancy statistics that the spokesperson is giving here on your show. And that remains true wherever, Tamil Nadu to Puducherry, the rates will change. Punjab
so what are you trying to
Haryana,
say? That if you are in Delhi, please go to Noida and fill your gas to get the advantage of lower price? Is that what you're saying?
The states which are not run by BJP need to take onus of the fact that they have not matched the people's expectations. If some of the states can do it, you definitely can. Why is this very simple argument lost on people?
No, we are simply asking you on figures that we have. Take your BJP ruled state of Karnataka. Prices have gone up in Bengaluru 36.24 rupees, brought down by 19 rupees. So when you talk about bringing it down, let's not lose perspective on how much it was increased over a period of time. That is the reason we are asking you, can we even give you the benefit of thinking about the people and reducing the price, or is it just optics which the opposition is saying? And there's a reason why we are asking you this, going by the figures that we see. And I've quoted you figures from at least 2 cities. Increased significantly. In fact, in Bengaluru, if you stay in Bengaluru, you still pay 30% more for petrol as compared to January this year. So that is the comparison we are going with. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Sapal, you were saying something.
Yeah, I would just remind Ms. Pragya that UP earlier also had cheaper petrol. I also live in UP near Noida. Earlier also it was cheaper by almost 8 rupees than Delhi. So UP, when you cut, it went down further. But you talk of Madhya Pradesh, you talk of Karnataka, you talk of Bihar, and I can talk of many BJP ruled states where the prices are far higher than Congress ruled states. Number 2, we have been talking about GST on this program. Please let me put it on record that Congress party has officially demanded that petroleum products, petrol and diesel, be brought under GST. And in GST Council, 1/3 votes are of the central government and 2/3 are of the state government. And government requires 21 states to vote in favor of a proposal. And BJP and its allies are already ruling in 21 states. So 21 plus 3 full Congress states, 24 states are already in favor if you want to do it. Why are you saying that states are objecting to it? States are not objecting to it. Majority of states, 3 more than what is required, are saying that let it be under GST.
No, that's a separate. Yes, please finish your point, sir.
Time again. This has been mentioned time and again. And about this entire revenue thing, please, Pragya. Now, 1/3 of the total revenue of your budget is coming from taxes on various taxes on petrol. I'm including customs also and other taxes also. 1/3. So there's a difference between the economy. You're trying to run economy like accounts कि कहाँ से पैसा आए और कहाँ से
No,
जोड़
Mr.
लें.
Sapal, I'm sorry. Even for the Congress, both actually the ruling party and the opposition are deflecting from the primary question that we are asking them. We are asking the opposition states that why can't you do what the NDA rule states are doing? Time and
Because
again, if you tell us it is not within our powers to do it, how is it that some states are doing it? The same question to the center. All this while you said it's our hands are tied. अपने हाथ खड़े कर दिए थे कि ये तो इंटरनेशनल क्रूड ऑयल प्राइस डिसाइड करेंगे एंड देन यू मैनेज टू डू इट. That is the question we are asking, that why, conveniently now you have reduced. And to those non-NDA rule states, what are you waiting for? If it is about ultimately bringing some respite to the people of this country, why don't you simply go by that and forget the politics? Let me bring in Professor Dinesh Varshni, please. Yes, Professor Varshni, are you willing to give credit where it's due? No, I'll come back to you. Professor Varshni has been waiting. Kerala, for instance, a left rule state, was the first to come out and say that state will not budge. The centre has to do it all. Is the onus entirely on the centre, Professor Varshni?
Obviously, you see, first of all, let me clear one point. We don't think that the politics can be separated from economics. Both are interrelated. Anybody who says that it is pure economics, it has nothing to do politics, is a politics. Number two, yes, the onus is basically on the center. Because you already said in your initial comments, as well as Mr. Sappal has said, that the moment you reduces the excise, the VAT automatically goes down on the total price of the petrol and diesel. Since 2014, the Modi government, Modi ji has increased 12 times the excise, and he has reduced minorly only on 3 times. This is this reduction is, I mean, in Hindi it is said, "Oot ke muh mein jeera." It is very meager, very less decrease. The government of India must see to it that you have already looted the people too much from their pockets since the demonetization onwards. Then now implementation of GST, then now petrol, diesel. It is not a welfare state, it is a looting state. Hence, you are requested to please bring it to the level of 2013-14. International prices are lower than that. You kindly come to that level and then we'll reduce it. We have already, the Kerala government has already reduced once. And if we are collecting the much lesser than the VAT and than any other state. So we will request the BJP ruled states to kindly see to it. Please advise Modi ji that price rise is affecting the people very much. They are not able to eat 2 square of meal. The NRGA job demand itself has proved that. And this government is non-data providing government. Even then the data comes out because of various other reasons. So you can't hide this fact. People are striving. People are dying of hunger. They have no jobs. You have reduced the jobs. You have cancelled the government jobs. You have abolished the government post. You are no longer a welfare state. And this government is the biggest demagogue.
I think we're having an audio issue there. I got your point, Mr. Varshni. Yes, Charu, respond. Please go ahead.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mr. Varshni has an issue of deviating from the topics and using the same 4 favorite words he's got, no matter what the topic of the debate is. But, I cannot say this enough. I'm going to retaliate it again. Mr. Sapra is from Punjab. I want to ask him on national television, when is Punjab reducing? Why do you not stick to what you can do? Or all expectations in this country have to be only from Modi ji? Why don't we discuss what you can do in Punjab and when are you reducing that?
Yes, Mr. Sapal, go ahead. Please respond.
First of all, I must tell Charu, India is a very diverse country. And all Sikhs do not belong to Punjab. Please, I am not from Punjab. It's a diverse country. Don't define it into kapde dekh ke pehchanna. Second thing. Please,
No, please allow Mr. Sapal to complete. He's making his point. Charu, please hold on. Yes, Mr. Sapal, go ahead.
Saying, time and again you are saying, why our opposition ruled states are not reducing? I am saying, except Punjab, all other states are still lower than BJP ruled states. Even today, even without making immediate cut, because petrol and diesel were already cheaper in those Congress ruled states. And there is another issue. You take Maharashtra, the way I think you're not understanding the way Modi government has taxed petrol and diesel. Maharashtra last year collected 47,000 crore rupees for central taxes on petrol diesel, and it got back only 500 crore.
That's a separate issue. I am sorry, we will have to leave that part for later. Whether the states are getting the GST collection or not, I do understand it's a concern flagged off time and again. But let's not pretend, you know, ultimately, if your concern is for the common people. Let me give you Goa's example. The Goa government has made an additional reduction of 7 rupees. Many other states have reduced VAT by 7 rupees. Over and above the automatic decrease in VAT that has happened because of excise cut. Goa, for instance, now the total price of diesel in Goa has gone down by 17 rupees and petrol by 12 rupees. So in certain states, it will this. Those states that have taken that further step, Mr. Sapal, will ultimately benefit the common man. It may not suit your politics, but the common man of the NDA ruled states today are going to get a slightly better deal when it comes to petrol and diesel prices, and they may use it as a political pitch that NDA ruled states are giving you bigger decrease in fuel prices than the non-NDA ruled states. So it may hurt you politically. That's the point I was making.
In Goa, please, today price in Goa of petrol was 95 rupees. It is still higher than Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh. Please, you are missing the main point. I
do get your point. I do get your point, but I'm saying let's focus on it from the perspective of the common man that is clamoring for a reduction in fuel prices. You are saying all non-NDA states already have lower prices. They have done their bit prior to the centre's decision, and now the onus is only on the centre. Okay, one quick point on the point raised earlier by one of the economists. I think what we were also discussing here in the overall picture, sir, is the fact that whether at this point of time we can blame the centre or not for this, whether this was an economic compulsion as well. In fact, I would like Mr. Amirullah Khan also to come back to the debate once again to tell us, because, you know, you were saying that this is, after all, a centre's prerogative, and they have chosen the right time, a politically opportune moment to do it. Is that the point you're making? Now that you've heard the arguments from the others, would you continue to believe so? Because there is a inflation management point as well over here, which you heard Mr. Ramakrishnan pointing out. And also there is an issue of the cascading effect, sir. If I may point out, diesel prices breaching the 100 rupees mark will have a serious effect on food inflation. Cooking oil, again, today, of course, there has been a reduction on the taxes, but then edible oil players have already reduced prices to a certain extent. So all these issues are also there, which must have weighed on the mind of the centre, Mr. Amirullah Khan.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for bringing this question. You see, I think we should simplify this debate a little bit and understand it for what it means. The center, state, Congress, non-Congress can go on. The point, very simple point that I want to make is that when there is a policy move, it has to have a clear objective. What is the objective of reducing petrol by 5 rupees or 7 rupees? Is it to discourage electrical vehicles? Is it to discourage vaccinations? Is it to encourage people to buy more diesel? Is it inflation management? What is it? We have various voices saying different things. See, that's the problem with governance today. That for any policy move, you don't know what the reason is. Why were petrol prices brought up while crude prices were going down? No answer. Why are they being reduced now when the crude oil prices are stable? No answer. So I think that it is very important for us to understand that what the government needs to explain to us very simply is that here, this is the reason. Is it because we are moving to a welfare state? I mean, really? Since when did welfare state come back into the lexicon? It had disappeared. You were always talking about market-based economics. Now suddenly India is becoming a welfare state because of some reduction in prices at some point in time, which has no bearing on any international prices or price reduction. The RBI is responsible, isn't it? We haven't heard anything from the RBI on this. So I
Okay.
think that it is time to get some clarity on what the objective of policy making is. Unless we do that, we'll keep running around various
Yes,
reasons. I have
yes,
heard 5 today.
right. Absolutely. What is the objective of policy making? Is it to address the concerns of the common man? You know, we'll have to end at that point, unfortunately. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks very much to all our panelists for coming in with their informed opinion on this subject. But what I want to highlight is, yes, politicians continue to bicker, but the common man suffer. I leave it for the viewers to decide whether this decrease is tokenism or is it a substantive reduction that will ease out the common man's woes when it comes to purchasing fuel. The point that we would also focus on is on whether the centre needs to do more, whether it should shift responsibility to the states or take the full onus for reducing the fuel price. We heard the arguments from both the sides. I would leave it to the viewers' discretion to decide on whether the centre is actually responsible entirely for this and whether the states are doing enough or not. Thanks for watching The Urban Debate.